What's up, everybody? This is the Sports League podcast, back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got Amanda back on the show as always. Good to have you, Amanda.
Always good to be here.
And we have a special guest, OJ McDuffie. Great to have you on, OJ.
Hey man, I appreciate you guys having me on, man. It's always an honor getting on, with some people that, I see Amanda got on talking about the Packers stuff. I see you rocking all kinds of different colors yourself, Alex, man. So it's an honor to be on. Might be
Yeah.
in enemy territory somehow, some way, but I'm down. I'm down.
Yeah, we appreciate it. It's you're a great football player for the Miami Dolphins. Go ahead, Amanda, talk about OJ's accolades.
All right. So, wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins, played for Penn State in college. He was drafted by Miami in 1993. 415 career catches, fourth all time in the NFL. He caught the most passes in the NFL in 1998 with 90 passes, which was the first Dolphin to do that. And in the same year, became the first receiver in the NFL to have 90 plus receptions and 10 punt returns with no fumbles. That's impressive.
Yeah, you can't put the ball on the ground.
Yeah. See? You got to talk to some of these receivers today
Yeah,
because
today.
this weekend was a mess.
Yeah.
So when you hit that record, were you aware of that record while it was happening? Was it in the back of your mind, or did you not have any idea until after the game?
Yeah, that record there, I had no idea until I started doing interviews.
Oh, nice.
Because it was like I've heard it a few times now, but originally I never even thought about it. I never even thought, especially because they combined it with the punt returns as well. So it was kind of a strange number, but I mean, it just told me that other years I must have been putting the ball on the ground. So that kind of made me mad about other years, before that, where I must have been fumbling a couple of times.
I mean,
And
those are some great stats, though. So I think it's just the number of catches. I mean, it was a great season for you.
Amanda, can you imagine Amanda today leading the league with 90 receptions? It wouldn't even happen. 90 happens in half a season nowadays. The way they throw the ball around the yard.
Yeah, I mean
crazy.
it's a different game.
It
It's
really is.
so much airtime now. So Alex and I were talking. We know you have your own podcast, The Fish Tank, Dolphin Tales from the Deep. You've done radio shows, sports blogging. Tell us a little bit more about how you got started and if you have any advice for us, up and coming shows that you'd want to impart to us.
Yeah, keep grinding. I mean, that's the bottom line is, there's a lot of people with podcasts now, but you keep putting out content, keep putting out good content. You know, your guests can be wherever, man. You never know where your best guests are going to come from. So if you think about people you want to have on, they might not have big names, but they might have great stories. And the best storytellers are the best people to have on for podcasts. And we've got some guys that, we get the Dolphins players, former players on there, but we've also done things with our security guy that was with the Dolphins, our equipment guy that was with the Dolphins, guys that was in our ticket sales, because there's so many stories that we don't even know about. Our ops guy was one had some of the best stories because when we go out there as players, we know everything seems like it's going perfectly for us. The flight's going perfect, the bus ride's going perfect to the hotel, the keys work when you get to your hotel room, the meals are on time, they're always hot and good. But the behind the scenes, sometimes it's a mess, and we never even know that until we talk to guys like that. So those guys are really more intriguing a lot of times than some of the players. Some players can be boring, but for us, it's not. It's a lot easier because we let them know that it's their show. This is going to be their podcast, and let them be themselves. It takes a little while sometimes to warm up, but once they warm up and they realize that we're here for them and not trying to trick them or anything like that, then it becomes a much better podcast. And you can hear them laughing and telling more jokes. Some guys, I mean, we've had Channing Crowder on. You see him on the Pivot. He's been on like 4 times because the first time we had him on, he wouldn't go home. We couldn't get him to leave. So we had to make a few podcasts out of that one. So that's pretty much the thing. Just keep grinding. Never, underestimate what a guest could be, how good a guest can be, and keep putting out content. Even if you put out little things, tease, always stay in people's minds and then, inside of everybody.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, the NFL season's been crazy so far. We're only 3 weeks in, and it's been a lot of fun. Let's get started talking about this week 3. So, Thursday night, the 49ers blow out the Giants 30-12. I had high expectations for the Giants. They've let me down so far this year.
Daniel Jones is on my fantasy team, so trust me, I feel you.
Yeah, that's Saquon getting hurt. That didn't make me happy either.
I know.
What's your thoughts on Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant? How much success he's had with the 49ers so far. Do you think he can take this team where they want to go?
I absolutely do. I mean, their team is built right. They're built the right way from the organizational standpoint. You know, I mean, from the head man and Kyle Shanahan, and then I love what Leach Lynch is doing as a GM, but also you got a great defense. You got Chris McCaffrey that can run it. You've got some great players, but then Kyle's mind is so incredible. His mind's like Mike McDaniel's mind. They put people in such bad positions to play them defensively. It's tough. And Brock Purdy is the guy. Every time you look at football, especially in the NFL, QB1 is the most important position in sports, in my opinion. And if you got a guy like that can sling it, he came out against us last year, really, when all the top two quarterbacks got hurt. We thought, we're going to beat the hell out of the Niners. And then Brock Purdy comes in, he shredded us. Then he shredded the next team. Next, he's 7-0. Before he got hurt going into the playoffs. So it's like he's a guy that he's got that dog in him. He's got that. He's smart, and he can 1,000% lead that team for years moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's been really fun to watch. I will say, I've said this both of the last 2 weeks. The one area he struggles is red zone. He went 2 of 6 both of the first 2 weeks. He went 1 of 6 this weekend. He's just, I don't know if it's the pressure. Obviously, when Brendan Ayuk comes back, that'll help out a lot. He'll have someone else to get the ball to. But that's one area I think that he could just use just a little bit of tweaking to definitely help it, continue his streak.
Yeah, either that or you have explosive touchdowns. And if you can't do it in the red zone, then you gotta do it from 50 or 40 yards out, like we like to do it in Miami at times. And I agree. I mean, your weapons, when that field shrinks, it becomes a lot tougher for guys to be successful. But the best ones do it. I tell you what really happens, Amanda, is that the game planning and the play calling, the way you get guys open, you have to find a way to get guys open when you only have 20 yards or to work with. And so I think that I think Kyle's going to have to do a much better job, even though he's doing a great job. Let me make sure I preface that first. But sometimes you need a little bit of help from the play calling as well and play design.
And then Browns Titans. So what surprised me, I'm rooting for Deshaun Watson, that offense, to bounce back. It sucks to see Nick Chubb get hurt and be done for the season. That's a big blow to that team. But what really, I think their recipe for success is if Watson can protect the football, that defense can carry them as far as they want to go. That defense is out to a great start. Yeah. And Jim Schwartz is one of those. I mean, he's an elite coordinator. He struggled a little bit as head coach of the Lions, but he's an elite defensive coordinator. You agree with that?
Yeah, a lot of these guys are better fit as a position or a coordinator position, maybe not as much as a head man. And it's hard to juggle both. When you're trying to be the head man and you want to be a coordinator, it's hard to put everything into being a coordinator. But when you have just the coordinator to be, a lot of these guys they're great. They really are. They do a great job with it. Hell, we got Vic Fangio now. Struggled as a head coach, but he's doing a great job for us so far as a defense coordinator, where he's a master at it. And I think a lot of head coaches, they want to be head coaches because, of course, you want to be the boss. But at some point, you're like, you know what? Let me dial back down into what I do best, and that's what they usually strive and become very successful. So I think that Browns team, I don't know, Deshaun. You talk about him. Ball security is the most important thing ever.
Yes,
that's the most important. No matter what, you might not have to make big plays, but if you don't secure the rock, if your defense, gets a 3 and out, and they punt it to you, and you give it right back. That's deflating for a football team. Yeah. So that's critical. You look at like teams like Dallas last year with Dak and what he did. Hey, you might have some touchdowns, but how many turnovers have he had to give the other team short fields? Teams love short fields. What you want to do is make a team go the long haul, 80, 90 yards for touchdowns. Usually along the way, they're going to make a mistake. So I love the Browns. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. So nice. that was my team, but they haven't paid any of my bills, so I can't support them like I want to. Miami's paid every bill I had in my life. So, but I do wish them well. I really do.
Yeah, I really like the Jim Schwartz addition. I mean, they've held opposing offenses to 3 and outs on 61% of possessions for the season. No other teams have done that.
Right, that's
it's amazing. No other team has done that through 3 games since 2000.
Yeah, that's a hell of a stat.
They're playing so well.
Well, who have they played though, man? Give me the teams. I know a couple of teams they played. Now, are the teams impressive or is the defense impressive?
The defense is impressive.
All right, bet. All right.
I've been a closet Browns fan for a few years. I love Baker Mayfield. He's so fun to watch. He's cocky. So I'm a little upset with him this year, with no Baker there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still have a soft spot for them.
Yeah, I was hoping Baker would do better last night, and I was rooting for him too. He's a good guy. I like him.
We both were. We love him.
Yeah.
Man,
right,
let's talk about your Lions.
Yeah. I'll talk about the Lions. So, you know.
Wait a minute. What was that? I missed that. What was that?
So this season, unfortunately, I keep picking the Lions to win. Alex and I pick against each other each week, right? So I keep picking them to win, and then it's very frustrating as a Packers fan to be rooting for the Lions. Last week I was pissed. This week, you know, it paid off. I mean, Sam Laporta can play. I mean, kid was all over the place. He was playing great. Biggest impact so far this season of any player on the team. 18 catches for 186 yards and a touchdown through his first 3 games of his career. That's amazing for a rookie. Something else that we learned from that game, the Falcons shouldn't be passing the ball. Nobody can catch it. They can't aim. Everyone's underthrown or overthrown. Let's just stick to our run game. Yeah. Alex, talk to me a little bit about your thoughts on that game.
I mean, the Lions did what they're supposed to do. They went in there, beat them up. I don't trust Desmond Ridder, you know, to go with that passing game. I expected a little bit more out of the Falcons defense. You know, they add Bud Dupree, Calais Campbell, you know, Jesse Bates. Jesse Bates picked off Goff, but at the end of the day, the Lions, you know, bounce back, get a big win. Yeah, I mean, the Lions, to me, they're a great team. They're built through the trenches, OJ. But Jared Goff, I have questions about. And can he take them where they want to go to a division championship, a playoff victory? We've seen it with the Rams, but can he do it in Detroit? What are your thoughts on that?
I think Goff is a perfect match and a perfect marriage for them. I really do. You know, I'm a big Dan Campbell fan, as he was down here, an interim head coach, and you know, I'm a big fan of what he brings to the table. And I didn't know if his rah-rah and his, you know, all the, you know, the speeches and everything would, you know, fall flat at some point. These guys believe in him. And have you ever seen a trade that worked out great for both teams? You know, when you talk about Matt Stafford and Jared Goff going to different teams where they both were able to succeed and excel at quarterback, usually doesn't work out that way, you know? And so I think that it really is a perfect match. And, you know, you need help. A lot of guys, when you're talking about, you know, a quarterback, you need some help around them. You can't just go out there and just, you know, hope you can throw to anybody and it works out for them. So I think Goff can do it. I really do. And so it's just, you know, it's a matter of, I mean, hell, we all saw that Kansas City game opening Thursday.
That was shocking.
I believed in those boys that night. Yeah,
I picked them to win that game.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Called that.
Well, here's what I do, man. I root against every AFC team that's not the Dolphins. So, you know, it's all about the playoff positioning, you know. And so if there's an NFC playing, I'm always rooting for. I don't care who it is. So I know we're down on the Falcons, what we're just talking about just now, but if they're playing anybody in the AFC, I'm rooting hard for the Falcons to beat them, you know. So I just think there are a lot of guys that, you know, are finding their homes, you know, when it comes to this quarterback position. And I think Jared Goff is one of those guys.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, those Dan Campbell speeches, those have me ready to go into war, man. Yes. I would fight for that guy. Like he is passionate and he believes in what he's saying and the players believe in him. So I think it's a great morale situation too there. Like that locker room is heated.
Yeah. And you have to get guys in your locker room that feel that same way. You got to get some dogs in your locker room. You know, that's the bottom line. This game is about a bunch of dogs. And you got some guys that are, you know, golden retrievers, but you know, you definitely don't want any chihuahuas, you know what I mean? You know, want a bunch of pit bulls and some mastiffs and some, you know, if you got some fast guys like we've got, you know, some Malinois, you know, so you got to have a bunch of dogs in your locker room no matter what.
Yeah, a lot of it's about mindset. Speaking of mindset, I mean, my boys this week didn't play the first half of the game at all. Our defense showed up in the third quarter. Our offense didn't show up till the fourth quarter, and we pulled off, you know, an 18-point comeback in the fourth. Didn't score our first field goal till 11 minutes left in the fourth. I mean, that kid's mindset. I don't know how to feel going into each week because I don't want to pick against the Packers. I did pick them to win this week. I thought I had it wrong for 45 minutes of game time there. But I mean, not getting down on yourself when you haven't scored any points into the fourth quarter, Jordan Love's mindset blows my mind. How do you feel about him coming in and filling those big shoes?
I'm gonna tell you this, man. I said it this weekend on our on my post-game show, on my pregame show, for the Dolphins. I believe in Love. You know, I believe in Love. I think he's so super talented. He really is, and I think he had the same grace that Aaron Rodgers had, sitting behind Aaron Rodgers and getting a chance to observe and learn. I think he's ready. I think he's gonna be really good. He spins it real easy. He's smart. It's gonna be fun to see how he develops as a QB1 for sure.
That's an impressive win too, to do that without Aaron Jones, Christian Watson, Jair Alexander, and to come back from down 17. So as a Bears fan, I hate to see that. So.
Well, you need are wideouts, man. I don't know what you're talking about. All you need is the good wideouts, man. Wideouts run things. I tell my co-hosts all the time, every team should have 11 wideouts on both sides of the football.
Absolutely.
Something I found interesting, especially about that Packers game, is our salary cap for this year is $224 million. $118 million was out of the game with injuries this week.
That's crazy.
Over half of our cap didn't play, and we still pulled off that comeback. Yeah. So I can't wait to see what they look like when everybody's back in. I mean, Bakhtiari never plays, so that's not shocking. But like Jenkins was out too, Campbell. I was so surprised that we were able to come back and win that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what's important though. It's important that you have guys that are good backups, or guys. You guys have done a great job of putting guys in there that can come in there and take those snaps for those guys that you're missing. We've had the same. We've been blessed that same way here. We've had guys out. Teron Armstead just came back. We didn't have Jalen Waddle this weekend. We're still missing Brandon Jones at safety. We're still missing guys that are supposed to be big contributors to our team. But if your GM and your team is doing the right thing, they're developing that depth and guys that can go in there and at least hold it down. We've got some guys that might not give up their starting position when the starters come back because they've been playing so well. So that's always a good thing to have. When your salary cap is one thing, but you've always got a bunch of young guys that haven't gotten to that next contract yet. And I'm sure some of the guys you're talking about that are playing right now, they're going to be up for a big deal someday because they're playing pretty well right now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We're in good shape. I'm sorry, Alex. We're in good shape because our quarterback is still on a rookie contract.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing for us right now.
And speaking of your Dolphins, I mean, this is perfect timing to have you on the show as they go up and throw up 70 on the Denver Broncos. I've never seen that in my life. Yeah. But the thing that made me the most happy is I was hyping him all offseason. I love this rookie running back, Devon Achane, and he went crazy in this game, 233 yards and 4 touchdowns. You had to be having a lot of fun watching that game on Sunday.
It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of action. It was happening fast. Scoring 35 points a half, and Devon just told us his name now this week. He told us it's Achane, which
Achane, okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was like, I like Achane a lot better, but
Me too.
If that's what it is, everybody was like shocked. Like, wait a minute, why you let us go all this time? He just said, I think it was like this morning or yesterday, he changed his name. Like, are you kidding me? Achane sounds so much better. That's so dope. You know what I mean? But yeah. At the same time, he is a beast, man. I saw him play against University of Miami down here last year, or was the year before. I don't know, when he was at A&M. And I said, man, this guy is really good.
Yeah.
And when you see stuff like that, same thing happened to me with Zach Thomas. Zach Thomas played against Penn State one time. He had like 22 tackles. And I said, man, that guy's really good. And then the next thing you know, they're playing for your team.
Yeah.
I said that about Achane. I said, this guy's really good. Next thing you know, he's playing for our team. And the funny thing about it is, the whole thing, how many times did you guys hear we were rumored for, Dalvin Cook, or we were rumored, for Taylor? And our GM, Chris Greer, thank goodness, to stay pat. He knew we had Mostert, who we love, and he knew we had Achane, who we, we got some of the fastest running backs. We have the fastest running backs, in my opinion. Hold up. Hey, buddy, give me a second. We have the fastest running backs in the league right now. Yeah. I mean, they were showing the miles per hour. We got dudes that are all around 22 miles per hour at top speed. And it's been fun to watch, man. But I didn't realize how powerful that young man is. They both run behind their pads really well, breaking tackles. And once they get to the next level, second and third level, you're not going to catch them. So if they can get through that first wave, which our offensive line's been doing a great job of getting them there, then you see how the home run hitting that we've had with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and they were hitting runs too. It was a home run derby for him.
Oh,
I mean,
it
at
was.
12:30, so I'm married to a Broncos fan. Luckily, he was golfing because I picked Miami to
What
win.
kind of fan is he to be golfing when the game's on?
I think he knew what was
You
going to
picked wrong,
happen.
Amanda.
No, 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 no.
I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
Speaking of picking wrong, can I just point out to you that Alex picked the Broncos to win that game?
Oh,
Hey.
wait, oh, thank you. Way to put him on Front Street. What, Alex?
Always. I
Hey,
screenshot his pick and put it in our podcast page on the
you
Oh,
gotta
wait a
pick
minute.
some
Hold on.
upsets.
Wait,
You
we
gotta
got
pick
to.
some
Yeah,
upsets.
you must be trailing in the first 2 weeks in some of your guests. So why would you pick them to beat us at home?
Because, all right, I knew it was a long shot.
Oh, no.
But
I don't believe that. Don't tell me that. Go ahead though.
but so the Broncos haven't put a complete game yet together. I thought Russell Wilson looked great in the first half of week 1 and week 2, and things fell apart in the second half. And first and foremost, I trust Sean Payton. I feel like Sean Payton's going to turn that team around at some point. And I still like Russell Wilson. I lived in Seattle for a couple of years and saw Russell Wilson up close. And, I saw him back in college at Wisconsin. I've always been a big Russell Wilson guy.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating that they still can't get it going. And I don't know what's going on there in Denver, but you give up 70 points. I don't care who it's to. Something's not going on right.
Yeah, I mean, we felt the same way. And going into that game, I was worried about it myself. I'll be honest with you, because Denver hadn't gotten blown out by anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, all the games are super close and competitive. Almost had a chance to win the game, in week 2. I just felt like our team went on the road and beat the Chargers, which is a tough place to play. We went on the road and beat New England,
Yeah.
who's they're still a solid squad, but we couldn't wait to get back home. And I knew it was going to be, about 90 degrees too. And it sure was. It was hot as hell for them. They were out there in those orange jerseys, absorbing all that sun, enjoying the South Florida weather. And I think we just wore them out, man. Wore them out early. We were just chomping at the bit to get home, man. But I feel you on your pick, but I appreciate you throwing him under the bus, man. I remember that moving forward.
So since we've thrown him under the bus, I got to toot my own horn a little bit. At 12:30, I messaged him and said, I want the Dolphins to put up 70.
No, you did not.
I nailed it. I can show you in our messages. I screenshot it.
That is amazing. So is that 12:30? What is that same? Is that 1:30 here?
12:30 Eastern, right?
No, 12:30 my time. So
Seattle, West Coast.
Okay.
So 3:30. So the game was already happening, but yeah.
That's dope right there.
I can show you in the conversation. Look, I want Miami to put up 70.
Just because you're a dumbass. Show me that part. That's the part I like.
Oh yeah. And he said, "Not my fault. Denver sucks. Fire Van Joseph." And I was like, "It's your fault for picking them." Yeah, I'll throw him under the bus any day. I mean, I made a couple bad picks. My pick, I don't want to admit it, but I picked against the Browns. So that was my bad this week. But I was mad at them. So a little bit bitter. But yeah, gotta throw Alex under the bus for that.
You can't pick in anger.
I can
pick with your head, not your heart.
It was a rough week for me, but
let's go. So I've been talking about this for a couple of years now, OJ. The Chargers, they got the win. Surprisingly, they beat the Vikings 28-24. But what is Brandon Staley doing with some of these decisions? Like going for it on 4th down from his own 24-yard line with less than 2 minutes to go. They deserve to lose that game, and he's done that repeatedly throughout his tenure there.
Yeah, too many guys are playing Madden at times, right? We actually go for it. We actually went for it on our own territory too, and we got stopped, but our defense pushed them back and forced them into a punt. So we got lucky on that ourselves. You can't continue to do that to your defense. I know how much you might trust your defense at times, but you can't continue to do that to them. And you got to play smarter. This is the NFL. The guys on the other side are getting paid too. They're getting paid a lot of money to go out there and perform. So you cannot give short fields. Short fields, make it a lot easier. Luckily for them, like you said, they were able to still pull out that win, but you can't keep gambling like that. Not in this league. If you're, Alabama, Penn State, Ohio State playing against lesser opponents, you can gamble as much as you want at times. Yeah. But at the end of the day, in the NFL, that will catch up. That will come back and bite you for sure.
Somebody needs to tell that man that being aggressive does not necessarily mean you're being effective.
Right. Like the people that talk loud don't mean they're right.
Exactly.
Well, I think in that situation, it was Minnesota's offense who cost them the win there too. I mean, their red zone offense was awful. They were 1 of 4 in the red zone. I mean, granted, they only made it there 4 times, but I mean,
Yeah.
There's not much you can do when you can't convert in the red zone. I mean,
You have to. You got to put it in the end zone. It's a must.
Speaking of that, OJ, do you think the Vikings get rid of Dalvin Cook this last offseason? And this year, especially more than ever, they're so unbalanced. They're so pass heavy. Do you think that's part of the reason they're 0-3?
Well, I haven't watched much of what they've done, but you need to be balanced. You really do.
Yeah.
I mean, I can say that coming from our game where, we had 350 on the ground and 350 in the air, but we want to try to be as balanced as possible. Every team does, because I'm going to tell you, at certain points, you're not going to be able to go and throw the ball around the yard a lot. You got to go play defense. You got to be able to run the football. And so until you develop that, and that's been a problem for the Dolphins for a long time, the inability to run the football. We could throw it a lot of times, or we could run it only. We couldn't do both. I think that we're at a point right now we can do both, but you can't just chuck the ball around the yard. You're going to go into bad weather. They're going to go into Green Bay. They're going to go in some places towards the end of the year where it's going to be nasty out there, and you got to be able to run it and run it out. You got to be able to have 4-minute offense where you got to run the clock out late in the game. So there are a lot of situations where the run game needs to be more appreciated by these teams than it has been. And I think we fell in love with the pass last year.
Yeah.
All we did was throw it to Tyreek and Waddle. And it was great until people figured it out, and then we couldn't do anything else. Now we realize that we have to stay balanced and we have to run the ball, and we've been doing that effectively.
Yeah, I think if Minnesota had been running the ball more, they wouldn't have thrown that pick at the end that kind of sealed their loss there too.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So speaking of throwing the ball, we've got Zach Wilson Hail Mary attempt at the end of that Pats Jets game there. That was
close.
It was a close game, and I predicted that on our podcast last week that it was going to be close and it was going to be low scoring and it was just going to be a battle of the defenses there. I'd love your take on Hall of Fame quarterback Joe Namath saying he's had enough of Zach Wilson.
Oh man, that's what it really stings, man. That's when guys like that, the great, when they say stuff like that, man, it hurts the organization. I honestly feel bad for Zach. You got teammates last year wearing Mike White t-shirts and things like that. You're thrust into an incredible game on 9/11 when Aaron Rodgers is hurt right away and they still come back and win, but you can see the look on the fans' faces. I don't know if it was more that Aaron Rodgers was hurt or that Zach Wilson was coming in. He's another guy that could probably use a fresh start somewhere else. But I think the talent is there. But when the organization and the teammates and sometimes even the coaching staff don't believe in a guy, especially in that position, it's tough. It really is tough, man. I honestly feel bad for Zach. I don't feel bad for many players on other teams, but I do feel bad for Zach Wilson.
Yeah, it's got to be tough. Everyone's going at Zach Wilson, and it sucks to be planning on sitting behind Aaron Rodgers and enjoying some success. And now Aaron Rodgers goes down, and it's like the entire team, the defense that's elite, is looking at you like you're the reason why we're not contenders, and it's got to be tough.
Well, we talked about it earlier, though. If you want to make them contenders, then find a way to make Zach successful.
Yeah.
Find a way to make him successful. Put him in the right positions to do so. He's got some weapons, but don't try to do too much with it. You got some running backs that are really good. You got, like you said, a defense that's really good. Don't make Zach be the reason you win or lose games. Make it somebody else and I understand that, your quarterback has to make some plays and do some things, but at the same time, though, draw stuff up that puts him in manageable position. Draw stuff up, punt it away, play defense. Make somebody go 90 yards against your great defense. Just make sure you give them a chance to be successful is what I think.
Yeah,
I agree. I think there needs to be more run plays designed for them. They have 102 rushing yards in his 2 starts this season.
Yeah, right. That's such a great point because shorten the game on people. Shorten it. Make them, and let your defense take over and win a game early. Win one 17-14. Everybody's so with the rules, everybody wants to score 30 points a game. And of course, that's great. But if your team doesn't have that type of firepower, if your QB1 can't get you 30, then minimize that game and make it an ugly 17-14 game. And, it's not sexy for the league, but hell, it gets you wins sometimes.
That's what the Pats did. They're not scoring points this year, but they're doing all right. They're winning games here and there. You gotta fill in those gaps and address them. What do you think the Commanders' issue is? I mean, they just got their butts kicked 37-3 by the Bills. We love our Bills. We love Josh Allen, obviously.
No, we
But
don't.
what do you think?
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
Who the hell is we?
You don't love Josh Allen?
How the hell
Everybody
could I
loves
love Josh
It's 'cause
Allen?
you're a Miami fan.
I hate the Jets, the Bills, the Patriots. I still hate the Colts, and they're not even in our division anymore.
That's old school.
I like it.
But yeah, the Commanders, that was shocking. That was shocking. So I think the Commanders thought, and I think they still do feel like they have a really good team. I think they think that they can get some things done offensively. I love Eric Bieniemy. He's a good friend of mine. I think they should have, they should be able to do better than they did in that game. But the Bills are starting to be the Bills that people thought they were. And so they've always had a great defense. They've got Josh Allen, plenty of weapons on offense, and they know how to do it. They've been there. They've been to almost to the pinnacle in terms of getting to the AFC Championship game and close to the Super Bowl. And so they're starting to find their stride. Unfortunately, we've got them this week. It's going to be, I told my people, this is the week right here to see if we're for real.
Yeah.
If we're contenders or whatnot, going to Buffalo to play against a team in Buffalo that is hot. This team is hot right now. That's going to be the telltale for how good we can really be. But I think Josh Allen is the truth. I mean, he obviously is a great talent, tough as nails. Obviously, everybody thinks he needs to get down a little bit more, slide or get out of bounds. I don't care if he wants to take those chances, that's fine. If he wants to be banged up late in the season against the Miami Dolphins at home, hey, I'm cool with that. I don't want him hurt. I just want him banged up. I don't want anybody hurt ever. But I think the Bills are the truth, and they're starting to find their stride, and it's a perfect time for us to be playing them this weekend.
Yeah, I'm surprised how well they're playing without Von Miller. I didn't think their pass rush would be as good as it is, so I'm pretty shocked about that.
But they're so stacked, though, man. Their team is really, really good, and Von Rousseau is a beast on the one side, and they've got
Leonard
guys
Floyd.
that can actually get out. Yeah, they're talented like that, and scheme is amazing. So I get it when you lose a guy like hell. We didn't have Jalen Phillips for last week or most of this game, and our guys were getting after, after us, and that's part of it. Same thing we talked about earlier. Make sure you got guys behind guys that can go out there and ball as well.
I wonder if Russ and Sam Howell had a quick Zoom call this week to talk about who was banged up more. I mean, Sam Howell got sacked 9 times, hit 15 times.
Well, damn. He didn't take the offensive line out for dinner, did he? He should have taken them out for steak dinners, man. That's a lack of pride in the blocking game. But honestly, there's so much blame to go around when quarterbacks get hit or get sacked. It could be the quarterback, could be the offensive line, could be the running back, could be the receiver that didn't break hot. There's so many things that until you look at the film, you don't know who's at fault for all that. But there's a lot of blame to go around, I'm sure, with all that. It looks like, at least.
Yeah. Texans stun the Jags 37-17. This is another cold take by me. I was talking about Trevor Lawrence being an MVP candidate, and you put up 9 points against the Chiefs, 17 against the Texans. What's going on in Jacksonville, do you think?
Man, oh man, I'm really shocked.
I
really am. Dougie Peterson was my quarterback here when I played for the Dolphins, and I was shocked that he was let go from Philadelphia after winning them a championship. I thought that he was really, really just a great coach. I thought he and Trevor Lawrence, which I always think is the most important combination, is the head coach and quarterback. Head coach and quarterback, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Those are the ones that succeed. I thought that him and Trevor Lawrence are going to be the great combination, and I think they still will be. Etienne's one of my favorites, but to go out there and lose like that for pretty much what should be a high-powered offense. That was the biggest shock of the week for me. That game right there when Jayville losing at home against the Texans. That was a huge shock right there. And giving up 37 at the crib, you never want to give up 37 points at home, man. That's terrible.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to 3rd and 4th down conversions. I mean, they're 29th in the league for both.
Yeah. And that comes down to the same thing, man. But now here's the thing about it. Are they putting themselves, which I saw a couple games where they're putting themselves in bad 3rd down situations. You've got to be 3rd down and manageable. I mean, bottom line is that, or your number's going to be terrible. Now, 4th down, I don't know how many times they're going for 4th down. And usually, I mean, not very many teams are too successful. They hope they are. Usually it's 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, which you should be successful. So it's all about the same thing we talked about earlier. Put guys in positions to be successful, but also being smart about it. If you've got 3rd down and and long, then you need to you either run screen or draw, punt it away, I know the conversion rate's down, but at the same time, you're putting your team in a better position moving forward.
Yeah.
Amanda, speaking of not being smart, let's talk about the Ravens and how they gave that game away to Indy.
So I'm hurt a little bit for Justin Tucker. You don't not let him try to make a 61-yarder in overtime just because he missed one in regulation. Like, you have Justin Tucker, you go for it.
Yeah.
So especially because he played against the first player in the NFL history to go for 4 over 50 yards and make them all in the same game. And again, against Justin Tucker, where he could have won that game.
Yeah.
If the play call had been
Twice.
to let him go
Yeah.
for the field goal. Like, so I mean, I love Justin Tucker. So I feel like that had to sting a little bit, that coach didn't have the faith in him to let him go for it. I don't know if they had a conversation and he said, "Hey coach, I don't have it in me. Like, let's just punt it." I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but from a fan's perspective, it looked like coach was like, "Nah, you missed one. Let's not try again."
Yeah, I think there's more trust there than that. I think a lot of things. First of all, the first thing you notice when the game goes on, as you know, as both you guys know, is like they're testing their distance from during pregame, seeing how they're feeling. That's when you know what their range is and where they need to get to on either side of the field in order to kick it. But is there anything underlying that kept him from going after that? You know, because he's automatic, he's money. And when you got a guy like that, you've got to trust that. I know when I played with Danny Marino, we trusted Pete Stoyanovich, but we still trusted Danny more. You know, so we're not kicking anything. We're gonna try to get in range, but that is pretty strange. I didn't really get a chance to see all that that it was going on like that. But man, that's a tough way to go, especially when you got a kicker that great.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt Gay looks like he's the up and coming best kicker now. I mean, he hit 36 yards, 53, 53, 54 in regulation, and then hit another 53 in overtime to win it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Just getting it done.
And
you know what though? 53 should be automatic for these guys now. That's nothing for these guys now, especially with perfect conditions. I mean, you get certain sloppy weather and things like that, then it's a different ball game. But I tell these people all the time, college kickers have it a lot worse because their hashes are outside the goalpost, you know, outside the uprights. But the NFL guys, all you can do is pretty much kick it straight.
Yeah.
You get down and kick it straight, and you know these guys have so much power that they should make the majority of these kicks. So yeah, I get it, man. Sometimes that's a layup. We struggle sometimes with our kicker, Jason Sanders, but man, he was money this weekend, kicking 10 extra points.
I mean, I'm glad that kickers aren't automatic at that distance, because the Packers won because the Saints missed a 48-yard field goal at the end.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we snuck by with a win on that one because a kicker missed a kick. Yeah. But I was loving all the missed field goals this week. I was messaging Alex about that during the games. I was like, I hope they miss it. And then they did. And he's like, how you doing? I was like, I'm tearing up a little bit. I need a minute. It was beautiful.
Yes, speaking of, so CJ, we talked about the Texans putting up 37, right? CJ Stroud is up to a great start. He looks like a baller. He looks like he should have been the number 1 overall pick. Do you think the Panthers are already starting to question that decision to take Bryce Young number 1? You know, he's kind of small, 5'10", 200, and he's already missing time due to injury.
Yeah, not yet. Not yet. I mean, it's always tough. You always feel that way when things aren't going well. You know, it's a tough deal. Bryce was that dude. He really was that dude coming out. You know, and see both of them. You probably couldn't have gone wrong either way. It is nice to see CJ playing well and putting up some big time numbers. I saw he's like number 5, and is he number 5 right now in total passing yards in the league with everybody? Yeah. And that's impressive. That really is impressive for a rookie. Some of it comes in, you have to throw the ball around the yard a lot, but then again, he's out there executing it too. So I don't think they're, thinking that they made a mistake. It's just going to take some time. When you're the number 1 overall pick in the draft, you're going to a bad team.
Yeah.
This is the bottom line. So, so you're going to take some lumps. My best friend, Kijana Carter, was number 1 draft number 1 pick in the draft, going to Cincinnati, and they were a really, really bad team. And that's just the way it is, man. So, they just got to hang in there. Stay the course. Tua came to us as number 5 overall pick. We weren't very good when he got here, and now we're starting to get there. They just have to hang in there and stay the course.
Yeah, good take.
I predicted that their passing would improve with Andy Dalton coming in. And I was right. I mean, they had a better game than they've had. I mean, they still lost. Seattle came back. I mean, Kenneth Walker is playing so well for Seattle. He's my favorite running back to watch right now, for sure. But I mean, their passing game did improve. I mean, it sucks that when your starting quarterback gets injured and then your passing game gets better. But I agree with you that he's not going to be a year one Super Bowl contender. I think year 2, 3, he's going to need some time to get in for the organization to build around him for sure.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna tell you this, man. It's like amazing because these quarterbacks, they're incredible. They are the baddest dudes on the planet when it comes to being football players because the game is so stinking fast for them, especially. And the older he gets, the more snaps he gets, the more this game is going to slow down for him. Andy Dalton's seen a whole bunch of snaps. He's seen about everything.
Yeah.
So he should be successful. And I'm sure he prepares like he's a starter. So just in case something happens, he's going to be ready to go in. So it's going to be a lot slower for him. And he's a good guy to have, for Bryce to sit back and watch him, prepare and, and learn the game from. Bryce is going to be the future. So why not play him now? I get that. They have a luxury, really. They really could have waited to play Bryce, but when you're the number one overall pick, everybody's like, get him in. And, and he is slight of frame. So when you're slight of frame, you better let the ball go on time. Don't take any unnecessary hits. And you hope those 5 ugly guys in front of you protect you at all times.
Oh, yeah.
So speaking of young quarterbacks who have come in and we've wanted to see numbers from and to see production from, the Chiefs kicked the Bears' butt 41-10 in Arrowhead this week. Justin Fields, we keep waiting for him to show all the talent that he has. Like, we know the kid can throw. We know he can run, but we're just not seeing that production. I know Alex has some thoughts on that game as a Bears fan for sure.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? Do you think it's Justin Fields? I tend to think it's everything around him. And I think they've done a terrible job with O-line, with play calling. Like, fire Luke Getsy yesterday. Like, I'm not feeling him. What do you think? Based on what you've seen, why do you think Justin Fields struggling so much?
Yeah, he's still young in the game, in my opinion. Decision making, anticipation, quarterbacks. I mean, I think Tom Brady, said at one time that 70% of the time he knows where he's going with the football before it's even in his hand.
Yeah,
that's before the snap, and that's the critical part for these quarterbacks. You got to go in there and you have to be ready with your pre-snap reads and adjustments, just ready to go. And I sometimes I think that these young quarterbacks, they're used to playing in college. They're used to having. I even said this about Tua when he got here. Tua's wide receivers were so incredible when he was in Alabama that he could really hold on to the ball a long time, or he just go back and let it fly. He didn't have to throw them open. Now he's throwing them open. He's throwing dimes. These young quarterbacks have to realize that opening in the NFL is way different than opening college was. Yeah. So open is a half a step. And you thread it in there. Open is even on the takeoff route. You hope your wide receiver is leaving. So that's what these guys do. Sometimes they squeeze that ball a little too hard, and they suffer from it. And a lot of these young guys want to run all the time. You can't run this league. You can run in college. You run in this league versus grown men, they're going to knock you out sometimes, and you're going to pay for it eventually. The smart man's game is getting the ball in your hand, getting it out on time, finding the right guy, but getting to that line of scrimmage, knowing pretty much what you're going to do with the football before the snap is taken.
Yeah, especially against a defense like Kansas City. I mean, he was pressured 20 times, sacked 3 times. When you're playing a defense like that, you gotta be ready to go.
You have to, and that goes back again, man. It's a game planning. They're coming after you, so why not keep it short and sweet?
Yeah.
You run some screens, run some wide, some now routes. You could throw a ball to a receiver that's in the slot right now and he get you 4 yards. That's as good as a run. Yeah. I mean, there are so many ways to keep that pressure off of guys, especially off of these quarterbacks where, you don't have to let them sit back there and get hit, take a beating. Who we talk about? You said that 25 quarterback pressures and 9 sacks. Who was that?
Who was
a couple games we were talking
Sam
about?
Howell.
Sam Howell.
Yeah. Please. Eric, I got to call Eric about that. Eric just went out there and put that guy out and let him bust some wolves out there, man. That's not good.
Poor kid. Well, speaking of the run and using the run to take some pressure off the quarterbacks, I mean, the Cardinals' offensive line let Joshua Dobbs do his thing. They ran for 222 yards and averaged 7 yards per carry against Dallas. And people picked Dallas to win that one. Dallas was not supposed to lose that game. And Arizona came in and upset them 28-16. I mean, we've seen Dallas's doomsday defense this year. We've seen them play well. That was not it. I mean, their red zone offense was not great either. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that game. And I think that was the biggest upset of the week.
Yeah, that was the second. That was one of the other shockers. You know, the Jacksonville game, of course, we talked about in this game as well. Arizona, I mean, they look bad the first couple of weeks. And then I think Dallas, I always say this, my high school coaches said, and so did Joe Paterno, the guys start reading the press clippings and people start telling them how good they are.
Yeah.
And, I think they found a way to run the football against them. You know, I was listening to, who was I watching? I watched a lot of these analysts. I can't remember which one I said. They're running right at Micah instead of trying to run away. You can't run away from Micah. You got to run at him. Hopefully, you know, he doesn't, you know, shed blocks and get into your backfield. But you got to put a couple guys on him, but run at him. Don't try to run away from him. Different ways they used to try. That's the same way they tried to beat Lawrence Taylor and those guys back in the day. Instead of running away from him, they run at him, you know. I think the whole key to those guys is when they get teams in bad pass situations, they're done. I mean, those teams are done when the Dallas Cowboys are in a pass rush only situation and Mike is coming off the edge or coming down the middle. I think Arizona stayed in a great, you know, down and distance, you know, in manageable situation. And that's the key with everybody, but especially against a team like Dallas that has a great defense. And not to mention the absence of Diggs hurt them as well out there.
Going to Sunday Night Football, Steelers Raiders, you would think Vegas, a great, you know, the home opener, a great home field environment, but Steeler fans kind of came in there and got comfortable and were pretty loud. Do you think that Vegas is a little bit, it's kind of tough to have a great home field because like all the fans are like, let's go to Vegas for the weekend, we'll watch the game, you know?
Man, we get the same problem down here. Yeah, everybody definitely. When that schedule comes out, you don't think everybody wasn't calling their travel agents or Travelocity or whatever they use and say, we're going to Vegas no matter what.
Yeah.
You know? And Steeler Nation is one of the best traveling teams, best traveling fan base in you know, in the country, in any league, not just in football, you know. And so no doubt about it, you could hear it. I got buddies here. I got buddies in Pennsylvania. All of those guys were in Vegas this last weekend. You know? So once it comes out in the schedule, it's hard to keep Steeler Nation away from you. And so it's amazing when you hear it through the TV, like, damn, who's at home here? Where's the home team at? There were a lot of Denver Bronco fans here for us this past weekend, and thank goodness we jumped on them early and they were quiet. But that's the thing. When you see the opposing team invade your stadium and you got season ticket holders who drive me crazy selling their tickets to the opposing team, you know, you've got to quiet that crowd out, quiet them down. And Vegas just couldn't get it done that way. It was like, you know, nip and tuck the whole way. I mean, it's a pretty boring game in my opinion. But but that's the way the Steelers want to do it though, right? Tomlin wants to do it that way, especially on the road. Just find a way to win on the road, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I found that game uncomfortable. For me, it was like those videos of like people who like walk out on the ice and they start to slip and they catch themselves and they start to slip and they fall for like 5 minutes straight. That's what it was like. It was awkward. It was uncomfortable.
It's like hell of an analogy. I like that.
Yeah. Some bad games are entertaining. Like Denver played like shit, but it was hilarious. Like it was fun to watch. Like it was just a shootout. It was bad. It was sloppy, but entertaining. This game, like I felt like I was saying something I shouldn't. Like that game did not feel like it should be broadcast. Like I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah, from a national audience, man. You know, it's amazing. You get in front of a big crowd, man, and the whole world's watching, and it can be ugly sometimes.
Yeah, especially when Josh McDaniels is making calls like that. I know, Alex, you've got some opinions about.
Yeah, so Josh McDaniels, Brandon Staley, like I mentioned, Mike McCarthy, even in that Cardinals game. What's your thoughts on this super aggressive analytics mindset? Back in your day, were teams going for it on fourth down like this and going for two? I don't think they were. It seems forced, and it seems to be backfiring a lot.
Yeah, it really is. I think it really comes down to a lot of these guys get real cocky as well. They're literally playing Madden at times, and you go for it on Madden a lot of times in those situations. Analytics are a part of the game, though, man. I mean, if you look at the numbers, you crunch the numbers. We have an analytic guy. I think most teams do. Just that's all he does, and a whole staff of that. You imagine having that back in the day. I won as a smaller wide receiver based on my own analytics. Watching, knowing the tendencies, knowing what they do on 1st and 10 most of the time, or 2nd and long, or 2nd and short, 3rd and 1, or 3rd and long. I could tell by the way they were lining up from my film study. But those analytics, man, they'll get you in trouble a lot of times too. We went for it on 4th down, like I told you, and I was second guessing that, and we got stopped. But thank goodness our defense was able to go out there. But they're looking at these sheets and say, this is a good opportunity for us to go for it. It's biting a lot of teams in the ass right now, man. Yeah. It really is. Don't be afraid to punt it away sometimes. Don't be afraid to punt it away. Just live to play another down. And some other times, they punt it when you say, why didn't you go for it? So man, these coaches, they really can't win, but some of these gamblers, they need to calm it down a little bit.
Yeah, those analytics were not helping against TJ Watt at all.
Right. He didn't read any of that, did he? He didn't care about any of that.
Go ahead,
Monday
Amanda.
Night Football, Eagles, flying in, beating up the Bucs a little bit against our boy Baker Mayfield there, 25-11. Philly makes it look easy. I mean, the Bucs run defense isn't as dominant as it's been in years past. The Eagles are destroying opponents on the ground. Their run game is insane. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that game and how Baker's doing. I know you talked about some perfect fits for other quarterbacks who didn't fit in right. I mean, Baker's moved on from 2 teams now. How do you feel about his fit for the Buccaneers?
I think it's a good fit. I mean, when you got Chris Godwin and you got Mike Evans and, they need to run the ball a little bit more to protect him. They got some good weapons for him. You're right. The defense isn't what it used to be, but, playing against Philly. Philly's a Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
And that's another group of fans that travel. You could hear the Philly fans and that were in Tampa that weekend too. I got friends of mine down here that live in Florida that took a plane up to Philadelphia. Up to Tampa to watch that game. They travel as well. And they're just a solid team. When you got a team like that can run the football like that, got 2 great weapons on the outside. Jalen Hurts is finally, in the last couple of years, come into his own. They just have a really, really good team. And they have a team that can travel. When you have a team that plays great defense and a great run game, those teams can travel and play anywhere and be successful. And that's the way Philly's built right now. Tampa's, they're trying. I mean, they're trying, man. And I love, like we talked about, we love Baker, but at the same time, though, man, he's got to find. He has some tough throws, and guys didn't come up with some plays for him. You need all that to happen for you to be successful. But at the same time, man, it's like, I mean, what was Baker? 15-25 for 133 yards. That's unacceptable at this level.
Yeah. Philly dominates the trenches on both sides of the ball. You see the wide open running lanes for Swift, and how successful Hurts is in that. But especially on the defense, and I'm always going to be reminded of the Bears and especially the Lions passing on Jalen Carter. Can you imagine Jalen Carter and Aiden Hutchinson on that Lions D-line? That was my nightmare scenario as a Bears fan. And I don't understand. I mean, I know why they passed on him, but, man, the talent is so obvious with Jalen Carter.
Yeah, you know what, though? Everybody's, 16's pass on Dan Marino.
Yeah, that's
5
crazy.
teams, it just happens, man. It's all about it. For most part, it's a need thing, character thing. But, I'm just looking for somebody that can play. And he can definitely flat out play. But, hindsight's always 20/20, man. It really is. You just never know how things are going to pan out. Did you think he was a surefire stud in the league, going to be a surefire stud in the league?
I did, yeah. I watched him at Georgia. He's a monster. Reminds me of Aaron Donald and Chris Jones. I mean, I saw him as a can't miss. As long as he stays out of trouble, the talent is there.
There you go, though. You just said one of the biggest things that people want to shy away from.
Yeah.
And maybe, and bottom line is, the city you go to can play a part in that. Where do you get drafted to? Don't come to Miami if you're looking for a guy to stay out of trouble, right?
Green Bay. There's nothing to do there in Green Bay.
Right, exactly right. Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. That's why they're so great all those times. Because what are we gonna do? study football. That's it.
We're stuck inside. There's 4 feet of snow out. Fuck it. Let's just.
Oh, I got stuck there for a week one time.
See?
My girlfriend lived in. She's from Swabidan, and I
Okay.
was there, and it was like, wow. I was like, can we at least go get some more beers or something? You know, I just want to drink the whole week away. Just let it fly by.
I mean, Alex and I are both from Michigan, so like, what else is there to do in the winter? Like, I moved to San Diego, and they did not care about the Chargers at all. They were like,
Right.
"Oh
Yeah.
no, we're golfing today. We're paddleboarding." I was like, "Nah." In the winter, back where I'm from, like, you watch football. That is
Right.
what you
Nothing
do.
else to do. Yeah.
That's it. Like, that's your activity. I do think something about the Eagles. They have outrushed their opponents 391 yards in their past 2 games, which is their best 2-game stretch since 1949.
Oh,
Wow.
hell, the Dolphins weren't even around then. That's impressive. I mean,
Yeah.
that commitment, but you got a quarterback that can get you 50 to 60 a game too.
Yeah.
You know, along with Swift, what a great home he's found. You know, and arguably the best offensive line in the league.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it just all works out perfectly.
Let's go. Bengals get revenge on that Super Bowl loss. Joe Burrow plays hurt, and the Bengals get their first win of the season, a big win, 19-16 over the Rams. Do you think it's a gamble, Joe Burrow playing through that injury? I think at this point, they're in such a competitive division, they don't really have a choice. They got to start winning.
You have to. You assess the risk of him playing on that. But you see your team is struggling without him. At times, you know, you have to go out there and you have to suit up. Joe Burrow got his money. You know, once he got his money, you got to go out there and play if they say and you say you can play. But they need him at that position. I mean, he's one of the best in the game.
Yeah.
Even hobbled, he's at one of the best in the game. He wasn't himself. You could tell his footwork was a little different, but his arm strength makes up for it most of the time. He can throw off balance and sling it sidearm and things like that. But they need Joe Burrow in the game. And I always feel like it's better to be hurt early and healthy late. When your team starts losing that, you know, that ground on teams, you feel a sense of urgency right away. Only 17 games in the NFL. It's not like basketball where there's, 82 games and you can miss 20 and still be able to get back in it. Baseball, of course, with 162, you can miss 40 and still be in the mix. Football, every single week is super important, especially when your team is struggling a little bit. So guys have to suit up more often than not, or more often than the team wants them to.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I think their defense did a good job too. I mean, Matt Stafford is going to join that Zoom call with Russell Wilson and Sam Howell. He was sacked 6 times, hit 10 times. I mean, their defense, they only put up 19 points.
Right.
So, yeah, Joe Burrow played and he fought through an injury, but it's not like they put up 35. I mean, they were very much carried by their defense only allowing 16 points.
Yeah, and that's important. I mean, don't think that wasn't part of the Coach Lou. Coach Lou, who coached out here for Miami, he's a defense coordinator in Cincinnati. Don't think that he didn't tell them, like, look, we've got to hold it down for this team until the offense can get healthy. Until Joe Burrow can get healthy. It's on us to go out there and make some plays. And I think that's important. But every time you look at teams and really good teams, it's got to be complementary all the way around. And so when one team is struggling, one part of the team is struggling, the other team has to pick them up. We talk about all the time now here. Our offense has been dynamic, but our defense has struggled a little bit. And then late in games, our defense has made plays. They've given us a chance. Last game, I mean, they didn't do as much as we need them to, but the first 2 games, the defense is on the field last, getting a stop, getting a takeaway, and that helped us along the way. So no matter how strong we're going offensively, that other side of the ball and teams, you never want special teams to hurt you, but it hurts a lot of teams that we're talking about. A couple of teams that didn't take the shot or missed the shot or whatever it might have been. But all this has to be complementary football. It's a cliche, but it's so important that you play complementary football. So when your offense is struggling in Cincinnati, Coach Lou and that defense came out there strong and held a solid offensive team in LA to 16 points.
Excellent point. 100%. Let's finish it up on this. Week 4 starts on Thursday night. Can't wait. 2-1 Lions at the 2-1 Packers. Green Bay hoping to get Aaron Jones back. Christian Watson maybe comes back. Lions hoping to get Taylor Decker, their tackle, back. How do you see this game going in Lambeau? Big game.
Yeah, like we talked about earlier, I'm a big Dan Campbell fan, but I believe in love. And I think that the Packers will get it done at home on Thursday.
I've seen that meme that goes around with the guy awake while his significant other is sleeping, and it's Dan Campbell's face, and he's like, "What if Jordan Love is actually good?" And like that's what's keeping him up at night.
Yeah.
I would like to see the Packers play 4 quarters in one game. We've played 4 quarters total this season, so it'd be nice to just do that the whole game. I mean, we do have some young receiving talent. Obviously, it'd be great if they played. Romeo Dobbs is improving. He drops a lot of passes, but he's still
I got
young.
it. I picked him up on fantasy, and but if he's getting targets, all I care about are targets. I don't care if he drops. Some of them just getting
Jalen Reed's
targets.
been playing better than I had thought, and Alex loved him. So I'm
Michigan
glad he's
State.
paying off. So
Okay.
speaking of receivers, as a wide receiver yourself, who is your favorite receiver to watch? Is there someone you've got an eye on, a rookie you really like, a veteran who you think plays like you did?
Well, I mean, none of them play like I did because they're all faster than I was, and most of them are bigger than I am. But it's hard not to fall in love with the fact that we've got Tyreek Hill down here.
Yeah.
Tyreek is. I mean, I'm not even coming close to comparing myself to Tyreek Hill. I've never seen anybody as fast and as quick, as tough. He's impossible to guard kind of guy. The game has changed so much, but when you got a guy like that, and you got an offensive minded coach that can get him in so many positions to make defenses so uncomfortable. He's a guy that I love watching. You know what I love watching more about him is that I'll go out to practice a lot and I watch how he works. He doesn't take plays off. He doesn't get open by accident. He puts that work in, and so that's one of my favorite guys to watch. Away from my team, I'm trying to think of who do I like the most away from my squad. I mean, I hate everybody, so that's a problem. Johan Dotson's my favorite. There's Penn State love for one, but I think he's a solid receiver, and I think once he gets going, and this is his second year now, but I think he's going to be a really good receiver for the Commanders as well.
Real quick, sorry, go ahead, Amanda.
I was just gonna say, I know with receivers like that, like Tyreek Hill moved from the AFC West. My husband is a Broncos fan. So breathed the whole sigh of relief. Like the Chiefs didn't need any more talent. Like run along, like, you can go now.
Yeah, we felt that way when Tom Brady left the AFC East. So yeah, I feel you.
OJ, I know you're a Penn State alum. How are you feeling about the Lions' chance this year, Penn State in the Big Ten?
Man, it's the best team we've had in a long time, but we still can't seem to get past Michigan and Ohio State. But I think this is the year. We've got Michigan at home, Ohio State on the road. Ohio State hopefully is still having quarterback questions by the time we get to them in a few weeks. But this is the best defense we've had in a long time, and our run game has been pretty damn good. This last week it was tough. They put 8-9. I think the coach was even in the box trying to stop us from the run, and it was a nasty day out there in Happy Valley, but to put a goose egg up on anybody within the conference, especially a team like Iowa, is always pretty solid. I'm pretty stoked about them, man. We're going to Northwestern. You can't get nicked by a team like that. You got to go out there and impose your will on them, and then come home and get healthy or stay healthy, and then just go 1-0. Coach Franklin has been doing a great job for us. He really has. And throughout the building, when I was there last weekend, all you see is 1-0 everywhere. 1-0. All they want to do is win this weekend. Don't look forward to Ohio State and Michigan. You can't get there until you get past Iowa, until you get past Northwestern this week, and so on and so forth. So this is our team, man. This could be our year. This could be a playoff year for us. And even though we got a true sophomore quarterback and Drew Aller, who's incredible, true sophomore running backs and Nick Singleton and Kaytron Allen, we still have a veteran offensive line. It's a solid team. Just like we talked about in the pro game, we got a great defense in the run game. All that travels. So hopefully it travels well for us this weekend and moving forward.
Absolutely.
I'll be rooting for you guys when you play Ohio State, but you're not.
I think the whole world usually does, except for those damn Buckeyes. I'm from Ohio, and I still can't stand them.
Yes, I love that. I'm a Michigan fan, so November 11th, y'all are losing. Sorry about that.
Well, come to town. I'll be there. I'll be in State College. Come to town, Amanda, and talk that.
I mean, my friend's baby shower is that weekend, so I might actually be in town.
We'll better watch it on your.
I'm a Michigan State fan. I can't talk this year, so we'll just leave that.
We all go through our troubles, man. man. Well, you guys will be fine once you weather the storm, bro.
Yep, absolutely. Well, appreciate you coming on. Thanks for taking the time. You got anything to plug on the way out, or?
No, man, just the Fish Take podcast you talked about. I mean, I appreciate that. Seth Levitt, my co-host, who really is the brainchild for what we do. He's incredible, man. His mind never stops. I've probably got 3 text messages from him right now. He'll wake up and he goes for a walk in the morning at 6 o'clock, and I'll get a phone call. I'm usually up close to that time, so it's not too bad. But man, we just love telling the stories that are not X and O's, like what are guys up to, some locker room stuff that happened. It's just a lot of fun for us to go and banner like that. And I think we've done like 180 pods now. So
nice.
You guys keep up the hard work, man. And the best thing about it was we were doing so many that the Dolphins said we want you a part of our network. So we're part of the Dolphins network, and so it's been great.
That's so cool.
Now. Yeah. Well, we'll have to have you back on in November after that Penn State Michigan game.
Yeah, don't forget now, man. Don't forget.
Great, yeah.
Right, don't forget. I'll call Alex. Shit. Alex will make sure I get on.
Yeah, I'll make
if you say we can go without OJ this week, I'm gonna call Alex. We'll get me on.
Just gonna leave me off if you guys leave.
No matter what, I'll come on no matter what.
Appreciate it, OJ. It was an honor to have you on the show. Thanks everyone that checked this out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Have a great week, guys, and peace out.